listening to that jam as we come in. What do y'all think about that beat? Welcome.
Like it.
To 3R's Sports Reckless Speculation. Now on Wednesday nights at 9 o'clock. As always, we start with three of us because one of us can't show up on time. Raj. All right, guys. Welcome in, Robbie Davis. Are you bringing your A game tonight, Robbie?
You know what? I think I just got a feeling this is going to be the best show we've done yet.
That's awesome. So I probably should get it shared out to all the people in the universe that could watch it, and we could actually get.
Yeah, if this can be our audition, I like it.
I'm liking our shot here. Like and share RiverCity-Media on Facebook, on YouTube, on iTunes, on Spotify, and on coming soon TikTok. Speaking of that, our TikTok expert, B-Chain, here with us in the house.
I wouldn't say quite a TikTok expert, but no, I'm excited about the show too. I fortunately didn't get to prep as long as I wanted to, but I think we can wing it here. We got a pretty good knowledge of the topics, so it's going to be good.
Wait, we may advertise on TikTok?
I don't know.
Between like the I'll leave that to the powers that be.
We could do short clips of our podcasts and roll them.
Like when Raj gets mad because we tell him that the AC or the Pac-12 isn't as good as the other conferences.
Actually, I think we should do a segment about explaining what TikTok is and see how much we know about what TikTok actually is.
Okay. I know there's a lot of girls on there in skinny bikinis.
Okay,
that's what I know.
Knows what TikTok is. I do not know. I
actually
taught some things on Twitter, but
I got on it because there's this thing called Bourbon TikTok where there's like this big group of people all across that share thoughts and reviews on bourbon and stuff. So
okay. So I apologize. I was making fun of TikTok. I'm the only one not on TikTok, so I'm the loser. I'm the loser here. No, I gotta go to TikTok now.
Yeah.
Figure out what's going on.
No, I got on. No, that's why I got on.
Let's bring Raj in and see if he's on TikTok.
The next thing I know, you guys will be like, yeah, we're neighbors in the metaverse.
Raj, can you please tell us what TikTok is?
It's something for porn.
That's what I thought.
Just kidding. I'm not on TikTok. I know what it is, but now that Randall said it has people in skinny bikinis, I think Frankie Valli and the Beach Boys over there has got me ready to go and to get back in the 50s from when he was born. For the record,
I was not born in the 50s, for the record.
Well, I just haven't heard skinny bikinis in a long time. That's why I thought. My apologies. For the record, I was signed on at 9 o'clock, and I believe you guys had a bet. And even though Randall, decided to show me late, which I can't blame him, I was on time. First time ever. I don't know who won or who lost. I know. I was trying really hard too.
We were promptly into our countdown. So
countdown? What the hell is that?
Yeah. You need to be here 20 seconds early. I know that's tough.
That's a stretch. That's a stretch.
That's just impossible. Come on.
All right,
Jen, I'm looking forward to it.
I am going to do a little posting while we get into this first subject, but I want to start with just a gut reaction. First question, firing out, not really the topic we're going to talk about. Did we play 12 games, 13 games in conference championships?
I love the internet.
Did we get to the best four teams in college football, Raj Mehta?
Nah. That's my expert opinion. Robbie
Davis?
I totally missed the question. It froze. What was the question?
did we get to the best 4 teams in college football?
So Cincinnati is playing for every non-Power 5 program in America today. They need to show a strong presence. I just can't see Alabama losing this game. They know it's at stake. Did we get the best 4? I'm okay with it. I don't mind it.
So that's a no.
Let's let Alabama have its time. But the problem is you have Notre Dame at 5, doesn't have a head coach. And then there's just – and we'll get to this later. I don't know how you expand to more than 4 because there's only 4 good teams. Yeah, I guess. I mean, I'm okay with it. Do I think it's a foregone conclusion? Yeah, maybe, but yeah, I can't fault the committee for what they did.
Brenda Jane. Now, my words are very specific in this question. Is this the 4 best teams? Did we get to it?
No, I don't think so. But like Robbie said, I don't hate it. I think with all the politics involved, you have to kind of land here where they did. It could be a totally different scenario. One, if the conferences and the Big Ten weren't as lopsided as they are, like if there's actually a good team on the other side. Wisconsin occasionally is, but they just weren't this year. So you pretty much had the Big Ten championship, Michigan versus Ohio State. And unlike Alabama, Georgia, one of those teams does not get a rematch or slide into the playoff slot. So potentially Ohio State could have been in there if they didn't get Wally mopped by the team up north. But again, and I know that'll get to one of our later subjects, so I won't elaborate too much now. But no, short answer, no.
Hey, wait, just real quick, Brandon. When it was the leaders and legends, was Michigan Ohio State on opposite divisions?
No,
but they still played.
Okay.
Yeah, they've always been on. So is Michigan State, and those were usually the 3 best teams. And
because they were both legends,
Yeah.
Right. So,
yeah,
but no, we've always had Penn State, Michigan State on that side. So, unfortunately, it's lopsided. I wish they would fix that so it would be a more interesting Big Ten championship. Because you would – go ahead.
Sorry. No, I was just going to take a serious stab. I agree entirely. But what if the insular SEC wasn't that great? Meaning that we put a lot of faith in Georgia because in the ugliest game of the year, they barely beat number 3 Clemson 10-3. From then, they got vaulted to the top. And after that, I hate to say this, but their most impressive win to me was hammering Tennessee at Tennessee, who ended up being a good team. But they run into a really good team, which Alabama is no matter what every year, and they get smoked again. So who's to say they're one of the best 4 teams? What about a team like Baylor, who lost at Oklahoma State when they were ranked and few things didn't go their way? They lost by 2 at TCU. They've beaten everybody else. They got a great coach. I understand the same logic I'm applying to Georgia. I could apply to Ole Miss, but, I'm just going by how teams look towards the end of the year and who I would not want to face. And
unfortunately, one of the
Raj, I get that argument, but not for a Big 12 team. I get that argument more for Notre Dame. So Notre Dame can say against Georgia, hey, we lost to Cincinnati, and we played a tougher schedule. I agree with you. Georgia didn't do much. They scheduled tough, but the schedule didn't end up being tough. Clemson's mediocre. The SEC East is terrible. And so I can see that argument. You can't do a 2 or 3 loss Big 12 championship. That's out.
No,
but Notre Dame, I think, Notre Dame has a legit argument against Georgia.
Hold on.
I mean,
a
I'm
second,
just
right
saying
there,
by
guys.
teams that I look at.
Hold
Like,
on.
I think Utah is somebody nobody wants to face right now.
But
They have
they
3
lost
losses
3
from
games.
earlier in the year. No, that's who they lost. I'm just saying based on the eye test, who are the
Right.
best 4 teams was the question. And I would not put Georgia up there.
So hold on a second. One of the functions of the college football playoffs is the number of losses. You are penalized for losing a football game. The fact that you do not get 2 lost teams in is to that factor. It is hard for a 2 lost team to jump any 1 lost team. I agree. I said that because I don't think we did get the top 4 teams in. I think we got the right 4 teams in, but I don't think we got the best 4 teams in. And that's going to lead into our next question.
Who are your top? Who are your 4 deserving teams?
The 4 deserving teams are the 4 that got in.
Okay, who are the right 4 then? Who are the right 4?
The best 4 teams in the country are Ohio State, Michigan, Alabama, and debate.
Notre Dame. I'll go Notre Dame.
Georgia, Notre Dame. But you can't tell me on a neutral field right now, Ohio State's not a favorite over Cincinnati. Ohio State, Michigan.
But that's
just
gambling.
Right.
That's gambling. You just told me that Ohio State was a 7.5 point favorite over Michigan. That's gambling. That's not. That's not.
If Cincinnati runs the ball against Ohio State, they'll run for 800 yards.
But
so
you guys didn't understand. Vegas makes, and we all know this. Vegas make lines to put equal side on both sides. That's not what they think. That's what they hope the public perceives.
Okay, take gambling out of it. I believe in my heart Ohio State is a better football team than Notre Dame. But Notre Dame should be ranked ahead of Ohio State.
Well, that's so contradictory. Like, hey,
they are ranked ahead.
But they are.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're number 5. We're 6.
That's like saying Brandon's better than building a house than me, but I'd choose you to build a house. No, you wouldn't. No, you can't have it both ways.
All right, here leads into the next question.
Choose another builder? Sorry.
It's for the right number then. To me, one of the best teams down the stretch this year is Baylor. Let's put Baylor in. Baylor finishes number 7. In any other division in NCAA football, Baylor would be hosting a home football game this weekend in the playoffs. Is it time for us to go to 8? Robbie, you seem like you've got a strong opinion on this one. You're looking, you're deep thinking.
Strong opinion, Robbie?
There is actually, I would be intrigued for a legitimate opinion for why you should expand from 4. One, it's too many games, and we'll get into the bowl section later. I love football. More football is better than less football, but unnecessary football is not better than necessary football. So if we went to 8, you'd have Ole Miss, Baylor, Ohio State, Notre Dame in there right now. All of them. So Ole Miss 3 losses, Baylor 3 losses, Ohio State 2 losses. No, like they just don't belong. And I get the home field, like the allure of it, but no, there's not. Until the college football game gets more parity like the NFL, then I welcome the expansion. And we'll see what the NIL does with college football. I think it's going to still be more the haves and haves not. But no one wants to see Ole Miss against Alabama again. And no one wants to see – and if you get – just don't start me on 16. No freaking way. That's Iowa playing against Michigan. We just saw that. No. So stick to 4 and be happy with it and enjoy it. But don't freaking play it on New Year's Eve. That's the stupidest. But I don't understand what's going on. Why is it on New Year's Eve? Don't understand it.
All right, Shane.
That is.
How about we don't make it? How about we reserve spots for the conference champions in these 8 teams? If you win the Pac-12, you automatically get in. If you have 5 losses and you win the Pac-12, you're in the college football playoffs. Is that another alternative to it?
No, I think that's worse. I mean, you're ultimately trying to get to the best teams in there. So I think at 8 teams, I would definitely not do more than that if they ever do expand it. I think you could get an occasional 1 or 2 teams that, pull an upset or 2, knock off, a top favorite, because that's going to come down to coaching and scheming. When you have a month to prepare, you're going to see the coaches really dig into game film and really study weaknesses and exploit those. So I think that becomes more of a coaching battle. And obviously we know Saban's been one of the greatest at that of all time. So I don't see him losing to Cincinnati for sure, but it's just, you're going to end up at the same spot more times than not. I mean, you're going to have those top 4. Like you said, you can probably change out this year, maybe a Notre Dame over Cincinnati, or if Baylor didn't have 3 losses, potentially Baylor could slide up in there and beat somebody. But 16 is just ridiculous. I'm happy with 4. I mean, you got to draw a line somewhere. 2-loss teams are really hard to get in.
So, Rod, who is the team not in the playoffs that would have the best chance to win the national championship?
That's a good question. I'd say Notre Dame. I'm just thinking of teams I wouldn't want to face. Notre Dame right now. Ole Miss, Baylor, Utah, and that's about it. I wouldn't want to see any of those 4 teams. And I guess that makes an argument for 8 teams, if you will. But if that's the case, then we have to limit the number of regular season games, and that cuts into the non-conference, and then that cuts into Duke's Mayo and Landing Tree's ability to spend billions of dollars on useless college football games that don't matter. So I think Notre Dame should be in. I'm just going to stop there. But, I mean, if your only loss was to an undefeated team that was ranked 2 in the polls and 4 in the freaking playoffs, and put them in, at least it's new blood. But, yeah, I do think 16 is much, but I think 8 would have been great this year. And I would have put Utah, Ole Miss, and Baylor right up there. And then, to a lesser extent, Oklahoma State and obviously Notre Dame.
This is like the equivalent of the NCAA tournament trying to tweak 64, 68 to get I get it's a money grab, but don't mess with perfection. Just don't do it. Don't the college.
That's what they said about the BCS.
Season is awesome. Everyone agreed. Well, not everyone, but most people agree. A computer formula is stupid, and they got the 14 playoff. That's great. Don't expand it. There's no reason to expand it. The only reason to expand it is more games, more money, and don't always chase the money.
All right, guys, we'll come back a little bit later, but everybody seems pretty satisfied that we have a quality playoff. Alabama, double-digit favorite over Cincinnati. Georgia, about a 7.5 matters where I've looked. Favorite over Michigan. That might where you hear me put somebody on upset alert, because I really like this Michigan football team. But we'll get to that a little later. We'll swing back. But last word on the BCS. Robbie, are you excited about the playoffs? And is one of these opening rounds hold something other than the obvious?
So, yes, I'm excited about them. I'm excited about Alabama Cincinnati has its own intrigue about it. Like Cincinnati's playing for everyone. Every small guy. I just don't think Alabama loses focus in this game. I think they came out with Georgia with a laser focus. They continue to, like, Alabama can't be the UVA of college basketball and lose to the Cinderella. I think Bryce Young takes like Cincinnati's defense is really good, but I think Bryce Young takes what they give him. And the other matchup, well, one, it's a uniform porn. Georgia and Michigan, great uniforms going against each other. And it's strength on strength. Michigan wants to run the ball. Georgia wants to stop the run. I give the edge to Georgia early. I think it's going to come down to who turns the ball over. Georgia's QB is always a question mark, but I think I'm going to say this. Kirby's going to regret not getting the backup quarterback more reps during the season. They were blowing out everybody. He blew a chance of getting that guy comfortable. I think Georgia wins. I think it's a close game. I would definitely take the 7.5 on Michigan.
I agree with you. I think Nick Saban in the SEC championship game does the quarterback switch. He's proved that he would have done it if he thought it helped him win. Raj, same question to you. Is there an upside? By the way, great comment by Aaron Burke. Half the season is unnecessary in college football. Anybody that watched Week 10 of the SEC season would agree with that. Raj, is there anything out there that is off the beaten path that will be a storyline after the first round?
The first round? Oh, of the
yeah, the opening 2 games.
Oh, hopefully just new blood. I don't think anybody really wants to see Alabama versus Georgia. And I think Michigan's going to win, and I think it'll be, Michigan versus Alabama, traditional powers with, as Robbie notes, 2 of the coolest helmets ever. I'd love to see Cincinnati in there as well, but I don't think that's going to happen. But hopefully the story is upsets and not and it's not just their SEC teams. Nobody wants to see the same 2 teams battle, let alone from the same conference, and especially when one team literally owns the other. There's nothing fun in that. So hopefully it's just a matchup we haven't seen, and hopefully traditional powers also, and hopefully I'll stop saying hopefully.
Hopefully, Brendan, you have something better than that. No, I'm just kidding.
I don't.
I agree.
Not much. I concur. I think Michigan can pull this one out, even though I'm rooting against them 100%. And I'm anxious to see how close Cincinnati can keep it. Like Robbie said, they're playing for everyone. I mean, they're well coached. They've got good athletes. I mean, it's the oldest team in college football, I believe. I think they've got like 37 seniors or something crazy on their team. So I'm just, I would love to see that be a close game. I think Bama definitely wins that. I don't see Saban losing this game. I would love to see like an Auburn-Alabama type game out of this Cincinnati team. That would be, a great hype to watch. And then also kind of back up that Cincinnati should be there.
I will say this real quickly. If it's Alabama, Georgia again, there is absolutely no way the SEC will consent to a larger playoff. If they get their 2 champions in the championship again, no, it's not expanding. They're going to keep collecting their money
Because then they could get exposed.
It doesn't matter what the risk is. The reward is we're going to
wealthiest conference is keeping their money. No, I agree. I'm just kidding.
Yeah,
I'm going to give you
the rich get richer.
Yeah,
I'm I really feel like this could play out. Michigan is a team of destiny. I think we saw that in the Braves this year. Sometimes teams just get on the roll. It's at the right time. I almost feel like Michigan is just a team that's supposed to be there this year. Getting past Alabama is one thing, but I really think they're going to get past Georgia, and I think that sets up a really good finals, but we'll see. Moving on to the next subject, which last week ended up in a great debate about conferences, but let's recap real quickly. The openings in college football that's been filled. Of course, Lincoln Riley going to USC, which we covered last week. And also, we talked about Brian Kelly going to LSU. Quickly, and kind of quickly, we covered this, but I wanted to get a little more opinion. And I've been able to read a little more on this guy. Marcus Freeman at Notre Dame is a very interesting hire. 35 years old, former Ohio State player, a monster recruiter. In 12 months, won over that locker room. I first thought that was a ridiculous hire. But, Roger, I've kind of got behind this hire. You were early on Marcus Freeman. Is he what Notre Dame needs to kind of find that athlete that gets them to the next level?
Absolutely. I mean, not to be overly chauvinistic or misogynistic, but have you seen his wife? Oof.
Smoking hot.
She's smoking. But, Notre Dame is about tradition and continuity. I cannot recall the former defensive coordinator at Notre Dame that the administration that Brian Kelly sacrificed, if you guys recall their OC in DC. So, because it wasn't Kelly's fault when they had like a 4-win year. But they brought in Marcus Freeman, and wow. I mean, just an amazing coach. The kids, like USC's Dante Williams, just a phenomenal recruiter. Kids love him. Everybody wants to play for him, but obviously he wasn't ready to be the guy. Marcus Freeman is. There's no doubt about it. And again, Notre Dame and Stanford are the two most intelligent programs in the country that recruit, not including Harvard. Notre Dame's not spending $20 billion right. Notre Dame's not spending $20 million to get some guy from somewhere else that's unproven and a big name. And they're promoting from within. They're not changing anything. None of their kids are going to transfer out because Marcus Freeman was hired as the head man.
Great point. If
not
this
to mention,
was around the horn, I'd give you about 4 points for that comment right there if this was around the horn.
Hell yeah. And even Notre Dame, I commend them for this. The Four Horsemen, Newt Rockne, Rudy, you think they're this traditional program that doesn't really exemplify change, but, don't forget about Tyrone Willingham years ago. And they're not afraid to make the non-fireworks hire, if you will. I think this is a sensational hire. I kind of bummed out. I was hoping they'd hire some unproven dummy with a name, but I think they're going to be better with Freeman than they were under Brian Kelly, and I think the recruiting is going to be the first thing. Kids love this guy.
Robbie, and we in college football have still struggled to get it right. I think pro football has done a little better with embracing the minority coaches. But the one thing about college football, 35, African-American, a monster recruiter, that seems like somebody that can go into homes and get kids from Florida, from California, from Texas. Did you like the hire?
All right. Let me pause on answering this question and pose a question. Because I heard it posed, I think, maybe Dan Patrick's show today. Each of you, quick reaction. Who wins the championship first? Brian Kelly at LSU or Marcus Freeman at Notre Dame?
Marcus Freeman.
Brian Kelly.
Neither.
Marcus Freeman, former Cincinnati defensive coordinator, by the way. That guy can coach, man.
Who
can.
keeps their job longer? I'll go Marcus Freeman.
Nobody likes Brian Kelly. the quarterback was actually decent. Just
If
bailed
Ed
on the program.
Orgeron could win
And their
a
best
national
recruit.
championship in LSU, Brian Kelly is going to win a national
Ed
championship.
Orgeron,
with
he's
us.
likable.
let's give
He like
James-
Jumbo, and you come over to barbecue, and
There's about
But
4 points. for
nobody
James.
likes Brian Kelly, dude.
Okay, Robbie, take it back.
Nobody does.
We seem to be split on that subject.
Okay, yeah. So what was the question again? Original question?
Was
You
the
posed it.
No, I posed my
With
own
his
question.
ability
He
to
posed a
recruit.
question to me.
with his
Oh.
ability to recruit, does he take? To me, Rod's just said it a minute ago. Notre Dame is an educational institution in a lot of ways. But if Notre Dame wants to go into these homes and recruit better, he fits the demographic being a young African American, very charismatic. Can Marcus Freeman recruit athletes to Notre Dame, where in the past it would have been that stuffy kind of tied down shirt environment?
And you
So,
answer your question, Robbie. Brian
If
Kelly
you're
along with that, Marcus Freeman.
18, if you're 18, what draws you to Notre Dame? Like, I mean, what like they have no history in your lifetime. It's cold. It's in the middle of nowhere. I just don't like they don't play anybody really. Like they play like that once Lincoln Riley comes into Southern Cal, that undefeated season's over. Lincoln Riley's gonna roll over SC or over Notre Dame. I'm sorry. He's gonna roll over them. Michigan's getting better. There's just no place in success
But
for that coaching
You've
position.
been there, right? You've been to Notre Dame and you've seen a game there. It's unlike anything I've ever seen.
Yeah,
I think it's the number one game day experience in the country. If I guess you believe, and they force the tradition and touchdown Jesus and the grotto and all those things. And if you're Catholic, you can't step on
But
the campus without seeing it. It's a gorgeous campus.
I agree with you. For me, I saw the 91 game, Tennessee at Notre Dame, but that really is not a relevant. It is
That's
a
not
incredible
modern
game
stuff.
day,
I mean, they've done
but
fine.
I don't know if it's relative in 2021 to the kids.
I mean, they're still been a top 10 team most of the last 4 or 5
'cause
years.
Brian Kelly was there. So Brian, don't dismiss how good Brian Kelly's won everywhere he's gone.
I am fairly dismissive of him.
He's the
a-hole.
winningest
But yes,
coach
he does
at
win.
Notre Dame in Notre Dame history too, by the way.
Yeah, like I get you don't like his personality, but he's a winner.
I think Notre Dame. I think the elephant in this room is that a lot of people don't think that kids from certain parts of the country or kids that aren't as interested, perhaps academically, are not interested in Notre Dame. That they are not as universally applicable or appetizing as like Georgia per se. It's not warm, but they've managed to do pretty well so far. And personally, I loathed Notre Dame growing up. I'm a big SC guy. I stepped on that campus, and SC plays them at Notre Dame in mid-October. The leaves were changing. Yeah, I like Rudy, but honestly, it was the most beautiful game day and setting I've ever seen. The people are nice. It's a gorgeous campus. The academics are pretty much second to Stanford in terms of your major D1 programs. And times are changing. That's a huge focus nowadays. The program, the movie is not relevant anymore.
And campus settings have never changed. It is not about that. It's about getting
The
into
emphasis
the
has.
league.
About getting to the league. I agree with
Yeah,
that statement.
Nick Saban sells that. You can be a third string running back for 2 years. All you need is one great year. You're in the NFL. That's our motto. That's what he does.
If that were the case,
All right, Brandon.
USC, who has some of the most pros in the NFL, but the program sucks. So
Brandon,
I think Notre Dame's got a ton of dudes go pro lately.
let's get your view of Marcus Freeman, because the next one is going to derail us for a while.
Yeah, so I think it was a great hire. Obviously, he comes from good pedigree, being from Ohio State, playing there. Knows how to coach. He's a great recruiter. I think he won that locker room instantaneously with that hire. You didn't see people jumping on the transfer portal, to Raj's point. I think he will recruit especially this first year, maybe 2 years, better than Brian Kelly, being the head there. But it's still going to be, I mean, Brian Kelly did a great job recruiting. I mean, he had tons of talent come through there. Don't get me wrong. I think Marcus will do just fine in that aspect. I mean, he's like a player's coach. He reminds me of Mike Vrabel, for instance. You know, he's been there. He's gone through it all. And, you know, the players are going to want to play harder for someone that they like and that's going to bat for them than, you know, like you said, a tied down shirt, just a, you know, regular guy. So that brings me to my question for you guys. Can we please talk about Brian Kelly's speech at the game with this country Southern accent that he tried to do? Like, did y'all see that? What in the hell was that?
He had to slow it down so you people could understand.
Me and my family.
That shit was hilarious.
He has never talked like that in his entire life. And I mean, it was
I feel like the president and the PR guy at LSU were like, "You need to slow it down, make people like
your
you."
PR guy, because that was the worst thing. That is not how you're going to get in. But anyway, to Robbie's point.
Hey, he might as well do instant grits down in Louisiana.
My cousin Vinny reference for anybody that's under 40.
Hey, we're going to get just a little snip. I had this pulled up, Brandon.
Thank you. Well, this is a great way to get started. And I haven't even won all my games yet. It's a great day to be
Great day.
What is
he?
Family.
My family.
Hell was that?
To be with you great fans and to be part of what is going to be an incredible ride here at Louisiana State University.
Okay.
Nick Saban's going to beat
he's a
him by
sleazy,
40.
Sleazy politician. By the way, he's from Massachusetts.
Yeah,
also,
exactly.
Notre Dame is right behind
So-
Georgia with active NFL players, for the record, ahead of Clemson. But anyway,
The worst Southern accent.
Exactly, because Brian Kelly was there too. But
The worst Southern accent since
I think-
Heo.
oh, it's been awful. No, I think Freeman's going
since
to be
Forrest
great.
Gump,
Yes.
what's a fummily? What do you say, fummily? My
Yeah.
Me
family.
and my family.
Family.
All right, guys.
Southerners talk that way. That's insulting.
I gotta end that one. We need to move on because this next one deserves room to breathe.
That was
I'm going to
funny.
intro this by saying two things. What does the city of Knoxville and Miami have in common? Both has 4 letters in their sports team's nickname, and makes a bad hiring coach every 3 or 4 years. So the Miami Hurricanes fire Manny Diaz and hire from Oregon Mario Cristobal. Robbie, you have been the most fired up human being on this one, so we're going to let you lead us out of the bag. Mario Cristobal to the Canes.
Yeah, well, for starters, I'm not sure why you send us out these lists if you don't follow them, but okay.
We're on the
That's on there. That's on there, you
Well,
dick.
it's on there, but we had 1 to 7. I thought we were going to do that, but okay.
It's called
So
flow.
we're on subject 2.
Yeah, we're not. But anyways, so what I think about Mario Cristobal?
Fun you are.
I think he's going to do well, but well in the eyes of someone that's not a Miami fan is different from well a Miami fan. Look, they don't have the money. Like we're gonna pay $8 million to buy him out. Clemson pisses on $8 million. Like they just don't like. It's a different ball game for what Miami thought. Florida State, they're the same thing. There's no money in the ACC. There's not. Clemson's got it all. He'll be successful. He'll lose. He'll be. Hey. I'll say this. If he's Kirby Smart, it's a success. If he's Dan Mullen, that's more reality.
Was it the worst move in the world to go from Oregon to Miami?
Who are you
Shane, you're
asking?
nodding your head, yes.
Yeah. That's terrible. I mean, I think the Oregon job is a far better job than Miami. It just kind of baffled me. Maybe it had something to do with who was it that sent to our group message about a potential new stadium coming. I don't know. That was a shocker to me.
Rod, Cristobal to the Canes.
Well, he's from Miami, first of all. Secondly, he was actually the coach of FIU a few years, I think 2007 to 2012, and he was an excellent 27-47, if memory serves.
He got fired.
He got fired, exactly, 27-47. Robbie said that Miami made a ton of money. The problem is Miami has a ton of expenses, including their own university health system, whereas Clemson has only people from Clemson living there. I don't even know if they have a health system. Last year, the University of Miami health system generated $400 million in surplus, which is one of the first times they've done that in a long time, let alone during the pandemic. So you can figure that out. So people are pissed because they're spending that on an unproven head coach who they have to pay his $8 million per year over 10 years. They're paying his buyout at Oregon, which was what, $8 million, $9 million? Yeah, and then they're paying Diaz's buyout. So just to get a guy that went 35-13 in the Pac when the Pac was not awesome, they should have been dominating, and they didn't. And they're spending all kinds of money just to get this guy. You know, the prodigal son returns, but he's not Dennis Johnson. You know, he's another guy where the cart's being put in front of the horse. He has not proven that he can win anything on a big stage. So why are you spending $30 million just to get him is just ridiculous, if you ask me.
You know, now that you say that, sorry, 1 second. Now that you say that, Roger, maybe that's probably why he left Oregon to go to Miami before, you know, he got canned there. So
Eugene sucks if you're from Miami. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, it's cold. Bandon Dunes is close, so that's nice.
So the names that struck me, this is their list. Y'all may have some different names, but this is from GoDucks.com. Iowa's Matt Campbell, who's bring up every job. Boise State's Andy Alvaz. Baylor's Dave Andretti. And I said that wrong. UCLA's Chip Kelly. Former Florida coach Dan Mullen. Clemson offensive coordinator Tony Elliott. Cowboys offensive coordinator Kellen Moore. Robbie, is anybody on that list do it for you?
So this is intriguing. I don't know they bring back Chip Kelly, but I do know a one successful coach in Ohio that is looking for a Power 5 job. Luke Fickell has to go somewhere, right? Like he can't stick at Cincinnati. He's outgrown his coverage there. So
he was our first choice.
I look at Luke Fickell. So I don't know how Oregon goes back to Chip Kelly because Chip Kelly, he was revolutionary, but defenses have passed him by. He hasn't been that great since he's left Oregon. If I'm Oregon, I go Luke Fickell. If secondary, if Chip Kelly goes to Oregon, UCLA, I go Luke Fickell. Luke Fickell has done a great job, and he just got stuck in a weird situation where every job's got filled while he's trying to win a championship.
Kellen Moore did play quarterback at Oregon. He's on the Cowboys. Is he a great OC? No. but I would think he'd have to be up there as well. I agree with Rob. It's Fickle, then Moore. You can't catch lightning in a bottle twice. Chip is drastically underachieved with a solid UCLA roster. So I agree with him.
From there, the next best opening may be Virginia, because even Virginia Tech filled this week. Is it a move up? And I'm asking this not particularly about Virginia, but for Luke Fickell to move to a mid-level Power 5 conference, does it even make sense, Robbie? To move to a Arkansas, Colorado, it doesn't. To me, it doesn't make sense unless it's a job, a destination job.
Luke Fickell is in the playoff. Virginia, Arkansas, Colorado, they can't even spell the word playoff.
In Arkansas, that's probably true.
All right, guys. Is there been any other hires? I know Washington filled their job. TCU's taken. Virginia Tech. I didn't even know who Virginia Tech's hire was. And Justin Fuentes 2 years ago or 4 years ago was one of the hardest names in college football. Outside of Luke Fickell, is there someone that deserves to move up? Is there somebody out there that's just we're missing? Robbie Davis, do you have anyone? Duke is also open, by the way.
Anyone needs to move up. Not this year. I think this was a year of pretty much a stagnant year. I mean, no one really impressed me offensively. Georgia impressed me defensively, but is that Kirby Smart? And then Jim no, I don't really get anybody that says, hey, I'm an offensive – I'm not a Joe Brady. I didn't see anyone that year, in my opinion.
The only person that I came up with, maybe Georgia defensive coordinator Dan Lanning, but to your point, is Kirby Smart not really the true defensive coordinator at Georgia? Jane, Brandon, do you have – I mean, is it Tony Elliott, Clemson? Is there somebody on Ohio State staff? Is there an assistant that we're missing that's just lightning in a bottle?
I mean, nobody really jumps out at me at this point. I think all the big, names and everything have kind of been taken. Fickell, obviously, he's going to be the last one available that could fill a big job. He just got extended. Was it 2020 to 2026? Just got an extension through 2026. Got a $1 million bump in his salary up to 3.4. I could see him potentially staying there and not leaving, but $3.4 million right now, and after the numbers we've seen this year, is like a OC's salary right now. So I think somebody throws money at him. I think Oregon could do it. They've got the money to do it. I think he could potentially go somewhere. But to Robbie's point, he's in the playoffs right now. He can't partake in this coaching carousel where people are scrambling, trying to find their coach as soon as possible. So,
all right, let's sum this up. Raj, have we missed someone that is obviously a new name to the coaching search? I mean, to me, I think Josh Heupel is a year away from being one of the hot names in the coaching search. If he does it again at Tennessee, comes back and wins 10 games, 9 games, he jumps up. But right now, it's way too premature for that. I know you're really high on a couple of recruiters out west. Are one of those guys prepared to be a head football coach?
Well, I love Dante Williams, who came from Oregon. The only smart thing USC did was to hire him. But he's not ready to be a head coach. But I do think you look at the top programs and their assistants. Last year it was Charles Huff, the great recruiters. Alabama's assistant coach. If you if you're assistant coach for Saban, you're going to get a great job. Huff went to Marshall. He turned them into a 7-5 team. Carl Scott's their defensive back coach now, a great recruiter. Changed Larry Johnson Sr. Maybe he had his opportunity to be a head coach and he doesn't want to be anymore. LSU's Mickey Joseph. Brian Hartline, Ohio State's receivers coach. Everybody remembers that guy.
I almost
a number
said
of
him.
dudes. Yeah, I mean, Matt Luke, Tony Alford, Kerry Coombs, more Ohio State guys, Charles Kelly, Brian Williams at Maryland, just top guys that are assistants on top teams. Sharon Moore at Michigan. It's no secret why these guys can recruit and why they're the top prizes. You never find, the offensive line coach at Stanford anymore. So that's about
Not Kerry Combs. He was our DC this year, and that was the worst part of our team. So no.
He's a good recruiter, but yes,
and I'm going to tell you,
he's a great recruiter, and he's got a ton of
clean
energy.
up his personal life to get a job, so I'll just leave you with that one.
He's a good secondary coach, but as far as the DC head coach, no way.
Before this year, he was hot. So hot right now.
Yeah.
Hansel. So hot right now.
He was on the Titans, and we had one of the worst secondaries too. So
I think Mr. Robbie Davis stepped away to mix a drink, as he said he would at some point. But we're going to move ahead. I think we had a great talk about the BCS, a great talk about the coaching openings. But I really got to get some ugliness. I love the bowl system, and I'm glad the playoff system has kept the bowl system in place. I'm looking forward to Tennessee playing in the Music City Bowl against a good Purdue team. I'm excited about the bowl season, but I'm also just fed up with how many bowls we have. I start with this, and I looked at all the matchups, and I tried to come up with the worst bowl game on the slate. You have in the Myrtle Beach Bowl.
That's a good one.
The Myrtle Beach Bowl. We have 6-6 Tulsa.
Old Dominion, baby.
6-6 Old Dominion. What would it take for you to watch that game, Robbie? Would you watch Old Dominion in Tulsa?
So I'm a bowl guy. I like the bowls. I did not know Old Dominion had a football team before I looked at the bowl schedule, but yes, I will watch it and I will gamble on it. I'm a believer of more information is better than less information, and so more football is better than less football. So yes, I had on my bad list Old Dominion versus Tulsa. Decided I didn't know they had football teams, but hell yeah, I'm gonna watch. I'm gonna bet on it, and why not? So bowl season is equivalent to me of when I'm in the casinos, and there's always horse racing on that little left TV. It's like, how is there always horse racing 24/7? But I like it, and hey, when I'm at rock bottom, I go over there and I bet on it, and I hope the ponies to win. But this bowl season to me is what the left corner of the casino of the horse racing is on, and I like it, and I will enjoy it, and I'll bet on it.
You were watching Vegas will never die.
I'm a bowl guy. I'm a bowl guy.
Vegas will never die.
ESPN, throw it on there. I'll bet on it. I'll watch it. I promise you. It's better than whatever the hell else I'm going to watch. I will
You're
bet
not
on
a
it.
bowl guy. You're a betting guy. If I asked you which donkey of two donkeys would fall asleep faster, you'd bet on it.
Hey, if there was a donkey bowl, I'd bet on the donkey bowl. Yes, I agree.
There is in Tijuana.
Yeah,
that's the show.
on that note,
about that on
Hey,
here.
in my opinion, there's not enough bowls. Just play the game.
You're contradicting yourself. You just
college
you
basketball game. This is NFL game. This is paradise. Just enjoy
Tell
it.
that to
people.
Mr. Duke and his Mayo Bowl, okay?
Yeah.
All
Yeah,
right, Robbie.
well,
you
Mayo.
said you had a list. Let's hear that list of the bad.
Oh, me?
Yes.
Oh, my bad. My bad. Okay, so I'll just go good, bad, and ugly. So my good is Auburn versus Houston in the Birmingham Bowl. Talk about pressure. Auburn's under some serious pressure there. The other good, Mississippi State versus Texas Tech. The Pirate against his old team. Oh boy, yes, I'll take that. And then Oregon versus Oklahoma, the Fired Coaches Bowl. I love it. Who cares less? Then Tennessee versus Purdue. A lot of points scored. I won't be there because I boycott the UC Bowl. Give us the goddamn Florida Bowl. The bad is Old Dominion versus Tulsa. As I said, didn't know they had teams, but whatever. The other bad is Boston College versus ECU. What? Like, who cares? Like, literally, who cares? We'll gamble on it, but who cares? Reckless speculation. I promise you, fans, reckless speculation. I will make a bet on that game, whenever it is. Then the ugly is UCF versus Florida. UCF has been begging for this game for years, and Florida has cowered out of it. They are forced to play it now. Florida said, we'll play you if you can do 2 or 3 to 1. UCF said no. UCF's going to beat Florida, and it's going to be glorious. I cannot wait for this game. Ugly knocks this ugly game ugly because it's going to be ugly for Florida. Those are my bold predictions.
It's funny. I have Florida and Central Florida in my good.
Yeah.
Because I'm so looking forward to that game. Just because I believe Central Florida. I was trying to find that line. The Gasparilla Bowl, I think it is. And I don't know what a Gasparilla is. I don't know what that is. I have no idea. Has anybody got a line on that game?
I can't even pronounce a bowl.
What? Who is it again?
Florida, Central Florida. There it is. Florida's a 7.5-point favorite.
Oh, take UCF. Take it to the bank.
I'm telling you who's going on the upset alert right now. We've got it. Shane, do you got any good, bad, or ugly from the bowl season?
So my good is Middle Tennessee versus Toledo because they're playing in the Bahamas. So the only good thing about that is you get to go to the Bahamas. My bad, I have to go Marshall versus Louisiana. That's in New Orleans. Fun town, but no one's really going to watch that game. And the ugly is Eastern Michigan versus Liberty. Who's watching that one? I know Robbie will be betting on it, but
Liberty quarterback.
who's watching that one?
Get bet on all these games.
All right, Raj, I'll come to you just for a second. I'm going to give you some of my good. I'm going to give you some games that I'm super excited about and why I'm excited about it. I'm super excited about Baylor and Ole Miss because I think that's probably the best matchup of 2 really good teams.
That was my number one.
I am not excited about at all. Well, I'm excited about a lot. South Carolina, North Carolina playing in the Duke's
All right,
mayonnaise.
Raj, what are your picks?
So,
Why'd you shut down the host? He's never going to call on you again.
you're never going to get asked again.
I agree with everything he said so far. Who cares about that?
The
And
bad.
aside from the playoff, the Baylor Ole Miss game was and Notre Dame Oklahoma State were 2 of my top matchups. That just in terms of intrigue, like Arkansas Penn State, people would think is intriguing. To me, that's boring as hell. Like neither of those teams can score. They're both going to run the ball, and then the Florida versus Central Florida in the Gasparilla Bowl, or maybe Gasparilla, which is, I don't know if you guys know this, but the Google machine told me that that's in Tampa, and that's based upon Jose Gaspar, who was considered one of the last of the Buccaneers in the 1800s, a Spanish pirate or something. So they decided to name it the Gasparilla Bowl. Back to Randall, because Robbie's a jerk. But yeah, Oklahoma, Oregon, NC State, UCLA. I just like, Purdue, Tennessee. I just like matchups that we would never ordinarily see. Arizona State, Wisconsin. Those are all interesting. But some of them, A&M, Wake Forest, even though they're good teams, Arkansas, Penn State, I'd rather watch paint dry.
Everybody missed the absolute worst bowl. Thanks, Robbie. I'm putting you on mute next time. Just because you won a fantasy football game. The Hawaii Bowl. Memphis 6-6 versus Hawaii 6-7, with a coach who's under investigation for abusing players. Yes, Todd Graham supposedly called his players sacks of SHIT, and somehow that's abuse. I got called worse in the 7th grade.
That guy's the worst, though.
That
Randall,
is a crap ball.
Randall, I win so much I forgot I just beat you this last week. I'm sorry for that.
If we had federal aid for a football team, we would get it, both of us, along with Jane. So, food
Hey,
stamps.
my team's hot right now.
If you're in the bowl and you're any team, especially Memphis, do you want to go to freaking Independence
Hawaii?
Bowls in what city? I know, it's Hawaii. The whole point of the bowl is just going there. That's one of the best bowls ever for those kids. I don't want to go play in Madison, Wisconsin, or wherever the Independence Bowl. That's in Shreveport. One time I drove by there on a cross-country trip, and I saw the Independence Bowl in Shreveport. I'm like, this is the biggest piece of shit. I'm not allowed to say that anymore. I've ever seen. Nobody would want to play there, ever.
The Duke's Mayo Bowl, which I'm excited to watch because North Carolina is having to play South Carolina.
Where is that?
Which they didn't want to do. Their combined records are 12-12. 6-6,
Awesome.
6-6.
Why didn't they want to play?
And North Carolina actually played Notre Dame a pretty close game. Gave them a little bit of a scare this year. So
yeah.
Why did they want to play? Was this like a Civil War thing? Like, why
they just don't want to play. They don't. North Carolina plays Clemson. South Carolina is the redheaded stepchild. The North Carolina folks were basically, we don't want to play South Carolina. North Carolina wanted I don't know, maybe it's one of those things where they think they're better than South Carolina.
If you're looking at the Carolinas, North Carolina is the head and South Carolina is the anus. So I don't like to play with. I'll leave that alone. But yeah. I don't know if this is like political or something, some kind of like civil, like I said, Civil War. I don't even know. I didn't know they existed until recently, despite the educational system in California. I didn't know they were states. So honestly, why did they get divided? Like, I'm sure it's some colonial bullshit stuff, but.
And Tennessee was part of North Carolina at one point somehow.
Oh, well, that's fascinating.
State of Franklin.
Why? Who cares anymore? Honestly, I'm with you. Maybe I'm just mad because those dumbs call themselves USC, and no one calls them USC. They're South Carolina.
We'll wrap it up. Remember, I'll be watching the famous Potato Idaho Bowl, where you have Kent State 7-6 against Wyoming 6-6. But
sounds like a
last question. Truly, are they one bowl game that's must watch for you guys besides your favorite teams? Oh, Rod, we want to ask you that on your favorite team, but what?
How pathetic is that? You can't even make a bowl. You have to be breathing to make a bowl.
Jane, what's your bowl game that you're going to most watch? In Ohio State, it's in the Rose Bowl. It's still the freaking Rose Bowl.
I'll take Utah in that game all day, bro.
And we're actually playing Utah. I think we're only 6.5 point favorites right now, so that's going to be a very interesting game. If we can figure out the defensive side of it and actually can run our full offense, I think we'll be fine. But
Look, one team
No,
wants to be there, the other does not want to be there, and you always take the team that wants to be there.
well, Ryan Day is going to prep pretty well for this one, so I'll take the coach on that one.
For the Bears.
No, he's not going. We had this discussion last. If Ryan
not
Day
going
goes
there.
to the damn
Oh.
Bears,
I think he
Okay.
may go to the Bears.
Let's put some odds on it.
no,
You heard it
then
here first, folks.
He will not be welcome back to Ohio State. He'll be
Oh.
tuck tail.
What a tragic
you tuck-
occurrence for him. I can't
If
go
you-
back to Columbus, Ohio. Oh, God, no, please.
Please, somebody
no.
mute
I think
Raj's
I think the
damn
best.
I've been to
Mike right
Columbus.
All right.
I
Robbie,
think the best bowl game of the week is going to be Oregon versus
I
Oklahoma.
didn't even get to say
And
mine.
no coach bowl.
Why'd
See
you
how
cut him
they
off, Rob?
go against
The
each
no
other.
coach bowl. I like it. That's good. I didn't think of that.
Rod, or Jane,
Fine, go ahead.
Sorry.
no, go ahead.
No, I'm actually I am pretty interested to see the where is it? Old Miss Baylor. I think that's going to be pretty interesting to see. Baylor's on a hot streak right now, and Kiffin's a great coach. He can prep pretty well, so I'd like to see that matchup.
All right, man. I think you're right. Let's move on to what if. And originally I put that we're going to have a 16-team playoff. But obviously in the first segment, we established that no one wants a 16-team playoff in this group.
No, it'd be
So-
horrible.
Go ahead, Robbie.
I said it'd be horrible.
Thank you for that astute insight. I appreciate that.
So you're contradicting yourself again. You said more
Yeah.
games, more bowl games. You can.
You
bet
did
on
say that
more.
earlier.
Now you're
Yeah.
like less bowl games. Are you one of those flip-flop guys? You just don't know which side
No,
you're on
more
until
bowl
appease the crowd?
games.
He's
More
messing
bowl
with you,
games
dude.
are great
He knows you're an
because
attorney.
that's smaller teams getting to play.
With you.
God damn it! Who wants to see? Who wants to see 16th
Totally worth it.
Who wants to see them play Alabama? Nobody. Nobody wants.
damn it.
Nobody has an appetite for that. Like, I mean, come on, guys. You all know
That was
this.
the
Like,
best
I'm
moment of
not. I'm not
show's
breaking
history.
news. This is
All
just
right.
simple.
It wasn't the Raiders draft. That was the best moment of the week. God damn it.
All right.
It really-
Come on, guys.
That really grinds
All right.
my gears.
So we're going to move into the 8-team playoff, and we're going to go around.
Surely not. We're-
Didn't we just do this already? Didn't we already do this? I'm pretty sure we
Yes.
talked about this
No.
subject already.
I want
Poor
everybody
Randall.
to be upset here.
Oh, and in the bowl games?
Nope. And if we had an 8-team playoff, I'm going to give you what the matchups would be. And you see anybody that sees a possible upset, please comment on it.
No problem.
The first round matchup would be Ole Miss and Alabama. Would everybody choose Alabama
Bama.
or Ole Miss?
Where are these games played?
These would be neutral site games in the bowls still.
Hmm.
The New Year's Six now becomes playoff bowls.
Yeah,
Ole
Bama.
Miss, Alabama.
Wait,
Saban versus
Alabama.
Kiffin. That'd be pretty sweet.
Robbie,
You know, though, Saban is he's a notorious big gamer, right? Like he could be sleeping on this one.
haven't we already seen this like 8 times? Yeah, Alabama's gonna win. Wait,
Baylor, Michigan.
Michigan, what? This is why an 18 playoff is stupid. The top team's gonna win.
Baylor's on a hot streak right
Okay.
now.
Why don't we wait till we get to
interesting.
4 to 5 and other matchups? All right. Why don't you guys slow down?
Baylor, Michigan.
Baylor's a
I think,
good
would be
team, man. How do you know they'll beat
Yeah.
Michigan?
I think
Number-
Michigan still wins. But.
I do too.
The next matchup, I think, is another intriguing one. Ohio State and Georgia. I think that's a 3.5, 4-point game, maybe.
Yeah. If we can stop the run, we win that game. But
I'll take Ohio State. Stetson Bennett should be selling jeans and boots, not playing quarterback. That guy's
He's
what's to
awful.
say about JT Daniels, who was the #1 Gatorade National Player of the Year Yikes. Yeah. I'll take Ohio State there.
Georgia.
All right, we're gonna move Ohio State ahead. Cincinnati, Notre Dame. Robbie, go ahead and say it.
Notre Dame.
Yes, Notre Dame. And haven't we seen this before?
At Notre
Yeah.
Dame.
Yeah.
Cincinnati.
I mean, what more
Cincinnati.
can you do? You beat a team at their home.
Yeah.
Other people like the other team.
All right, so the playoffs would be
I'm sorry. Wait, what?
it,
The best thing Nick Saban does is when he loses, he gets to see what they do for him. Play him again, lights out.
That's not Nick Saban, though.
Yeah, this is not Nick Saban. Nick Saban's a little different.
This is Notre Dame
Okay.
and Cincinnati.
Nick Saban is the NBA. The regular season is useless to Nick Saban. But when it's the playoffs,
Yeah.
that's when Nick Saban becomes Nick Saban.
He's December Tom Brady.
and ironically, if we played that series of games out, you would get a matchup in the Final Four of Alabama versus Cincinnati, and you replace Ohio State with Georgia, you get Michigan, Ohio State again. So there's some truth that
You end up at the same boat pretty much.
you pretty much get where we're going to get, and you're going to run. These teams are just going to run into each other again. So I don't know. The more I do this exercise, the more I think the 4-game playoff may be better than I give it credit for. And
So I actually like the fact that teams could run into each other again. Like, people are always against, oh, well, we've already seen this same old game. But, to Robbie's point, if Saban loses a game to someone, shame on me once, twice, or shame on you once, shame on me twice. Like, I think something like that. You know what I'm talking about.
Well,
It's only interesting with Alabama, though, because nobody expects Saban to lose.
Yeah, but I think you could get that with some of the other good coaches. Like, to really, you think they're going to try and or go into that game more prepared than ever? Like, after they already lost, they're gonna study that film and see where their weaknesses are. Like, I think it becomes a coaching chess match at that point, and you really get to see talented teams go back and forth again. So,
well, I'll say this. I don't disagree. I think my issue with it right now is the timing of it. Like, it doesn't seem like we have a fair playing field. Like, if you go to 8, I feel like Saban's gonna win every year. He just needs to go away. And then
What's the difference between that and now?
What I'm saying?
Don't make it 8, though. Saban
No, I'm
can
saying,
win every year.
let's let
Don't
him
make it
retire.
8.
Let's let Saban retire, and then let's.
I don't think that helps Saban whatsoever.
He's going to
Because
coach from the grave.
You still got to
dude.
cut. You still got to cut from 8 to 4,
Well,
and you're going to end up in the same spot.
But if he can lose 2 and still get in, that helps him tremendously.
Paterno stayed alive somehow on machines and was the head coach, and he had we're not going to say a kitty toucher as an assistant coach. He still was the head man. Saban is not going to ever leave until he's dead, and after that, they'll just put him on machines.
But I'm saying like,
and he'll come back to life.
So for instance, this year, if Georgia happened to beat Alabama, they were out this year. If they beat them with an 18 playoff, they're still in. So Saban's still alive with 2 losses. So
ultimately, aren't we trying to get to the best teams? So if Saban's the best team at that point,
no, Brandon.
So your point is they're going to get in no matter
trying to
what.
Get to our
so
teams try to win. That's all we're trying to get to.
Your point is to just whatever gets Saban out of the playoffs.
Whatever gets my team to win.
Randall's going to put.
But if he's got the best team, I know. Sorry, we ramble on, Randall. Sorry, you created
all right,
this.
let's move on to the NFL. We only have one quick NFL topic this week.
I can't wait for
We're
this.
running late on time, but
Not us.
We couldn't be remiss. Would be remiss to not mention Monday Night Football and the fact that the Patriots won a game by throwing the football 3 times. Now, it became early in the day. The weather reports came out, 30 miles, blustery winds, horrible conditions. The Bills still threw the ball 30 times in those conditions. Is Belichick just smarter, or was it just common sense? I'm not going to throw the ball in this weather. I'm going to throw it 3 times. Robbie, you were intrigued by this a little bit. How did he even come up with this game plan?
I could not wait to talk about this game. This is the most fascinating game I've ever seen in my life. I did not think it was possible, literally possible, to only throw the ball 3 times in a game and win. This is the equivalent of me playing Brandon in Madden and saying I'm running the toss sweep right every single game, every single play, every single game,
I feel like
and him not figuring out how to stop it. It's unfathomable. Like
it's
this
a total
is the
bitch
most,
slap. You're right.
yeah, this is the most undressing of a coach that I've ever seen. Like you are NFL teams, and he told you what he was going to run, and they couldn't stop it. Like, I don't get how the Buffalo Bills players go back to that coach and be like, yeah, we got you. You know what you're doing. It was so embarrassing.
Let alone the defense, the vaunted Buffalo Bills defense. They've suffered attrition from free agency, but give me a freaking break.
This had to have felt better for Bill Belichick than one of those Super Bowl trophies he has. Like, this was just an embarrassment of a division rival. Like, I just wiped the floor with you and just did the same. Like, I can't explain. It was the most amazing thing I've ever seen in sport.
But like you're saying, it's football, right? It's me versus you, ground and pound. They told them that they were doing. They just mowed over them. And it was like varsity versus like a bunch of peewees, like 5th graders.
Yeah.
They knew what was coming. Like 26, 27. Mac Jones was 2 of 3 for like 19 yards. That's amazing.
Unbelievable.
And I don't know if McDaniels, who was the Broncos coach for a bit, is the smartest or dumbest coach ever. Like, why don't you just do this every play for the rest of your life? Wow. I mean, if you're Buffalo, I agree. You can't look yourself in the mirror. And they knew that Buffalo couldn't run on them, so quite frankly, it probably should have been like 30-0. The weather I agree with Rob. I mean, if the weather wasn't there, then they probably would have run the ball slightly less, but they didn't have to throw it. It didn't matter.
Brandon?
Well, if you look – sorry, go ahead.
Did watching this game feel like we were playing 8th grade football again? Because I think I saw the same game plan in an 8th grade game one time.
It didn't. This is the mastermind of Bill Belichick. You look back at the weaknesses of the Buffalo Bills. You look at when they face heavy run first teams, Titans, Colts. Titans have the numbers on the Bills. They rush for, 150 plus every time and just run through the Bills. This year, Colts, Jonathan Taylor, hottest running back out there right now. He rushed for like 185 yards against them. This is not some surprise method here. You guys are going on like you didn't know the Bills couldn't stop the run. It doesn't matter if they know it's coming. They can't stop the run. Look at history. I mean, They used to, but not this year. And that is their weakness. Yeah, they're a great team offensively. Their defensive line is atrocious. Their linebackers are not executing well. It doesn't matter if they put 11 men in the box. They're not stopping the run. Like, you just can't do it. So this is just Bill Belichick film study 101, cold weather game. We're not even going to risk it. We're going to run it down your throat, and you can't stop us because we've seen your film. We know exactly who to attack. You can't stop it.
Brandon, I agree with you. The Bills suck at run defense, but that was just literally just I am just smarter than you, just all in your face. You can't stop what I'm doing. Like that was the most humiliating thing I've seen in professional sports in my lifetime.
Well, and I think the game changes until Harris broke that run and scored the first touchdown. They went for 2, and they get an 8-point lead. So then, when you're sitting in the driver's seat already, and everyone's talking about end of the wind, downwind. Maybe you'll pass it when you're downwind. Maybe end of the wind, we're not going to pass. So you look at that thought process and you think, okay, now you're in the catbird seat. You don't even have to throw the ball when you're downwind. You've already ran 11 minutes off the clock or whatever it was. Like, you changed the game just by that one run that they broke. So I think the schemes would have been different if they didn't score that touchdown. They would have thrown the ball a little bit more, but especially downwind. But once you already got in that position, now it's just like, let's just run it and eat the clock and kill this game. Like,
2 for 3 for 19 yards.
Yeah,
it's unbelievable. Unbelievable. I've never witnessed anything
and
like
the game
it.
was never in doubt. It was never.
But this was the perfect setup for this to happen.
I agree.
Terrible run defense. A masterminded coach, and
That's what Belichick does. He brings everyone else back to earth. Everyone's
Exactly.
blowing Buffalo, and
let's say I'll run it every single time until I don't absolutely have to, and he just did it. And
then he still ran the ball.
I don't want to discredit that factor, but the setup was, pretty sweet for him to take that kind of stance. So
guys, let's move on.
Like he knows
to the
what
next
he's doing
subject.
or something.
We've got a
Right.
couple of subjects and about 10 minutes to get through. We want to quickly touch on college basketball first. I want to say that congratulations to Purdue. I would have
love
lost
that.
every penny in my bank account if someone had asked me. I'll give you 100-1 odds. Has Purdue ever been the number 1 team in the country? I would have bet 1,000 times over Purdue had been number 1 before.
Remember Robbie Hummel?
Makers make it to number 1. I have 5 general questions, which any of you can answer, add your own, or move on. One comment about college basketball real quick. 1, Duke, I find, can send Coach K out with a great season. 2 top 10 wins. Purdue, again, being number 1. Also, Gonzaga seems very vulnerable to me at this point. And Memphis, after a 5-0 start, is struggling. So my good is the Boilermakers. My bad is Memphis. I also really like this Duke team. So give me Duke and Purdue as risers, Gonzaga and Memphis as my fallers. Robbie Davis, what do you got on your risers and fallers in college basketball?
My risers, I've got Alabama. I think they're really, really good again. They shoot the 3 very well. Purdue, obviously, I was with you, Randall. I was shocked when I heard they've never been ranked number 1. Robbie Hummel had a great team. Glenn Big Dog Robinson had a great team with Konzo. I thought they would be number 1, but I guess not. I think USC, it also has really talented Andy Enfield, whatever. He's coaching very well. They are a force in the West Coast. That's my risers. My fallers are Memphis. They lost to Georgia and Ole Miss. But my loser of the week is Florida. Florida lost to Texas Southern. Oh my gosh. At home. That's a horrible, horrible loss. Now they won't prevent them getting the tournament, but that's a horrible loss seeding wise.
Absolutely. Good point. I blazed that one. Brendan James, what do you have on this? Risers and fallers.
Well, I'm gonna be a homer here and call my Buckeyes out a little bit. We did beat Duke, jumped up a little bit, rose 8 spots. So playing better, beat Penn State. Tough matchup there. So we're getting there. Fallers, BYU. Well, I think they had one loss and dropped 12 spots pretty drastically. I don't see them in the top 25, within the next week or two. So short and sweet.
Raj,
one thing about Purdue. Congrats to them on number 1, by the way. I don't think they lose again this year. I don't think they have a tough matchup until January 3rd when they play Wisconsin. So they don't play anyone till then. So they're kind of coasting through the end of the year, in my opinion. Go ahead.
Yeah, good point. Raj, anybody on the West Coast that's caught your eye?
I mean, I don't want to. Obviously, it's not usual that I can honk my horn when it comes to college basketball, but yeah, SC is a very well balanced team. I love Boogie Ellis. He's a San Diego native that transferred from Memphis, mainly because Penny Hardaway can recruit, but he has these unending loyalties. Right now, it's to a point guard, Alex Lomax, who he coached in high school, that is nowhere near the player as Ellis. And Ellis transferred to USC, and even though USC had a generational player last year in Evan Mobley, they are a better team this year. And that's kind of my point, that you can have bigs all day like Gonzaga does, but if they're slow, like last year, it doesn't matter. Baylor had athletic guards. And in my opinion, if you have athletic guards that can shoot the basketball, you're going to be fine. So when you look at that, you look at a team like USC, UCLA, Purdue's got Jaden Ivey. Chet Holmgren is obviously a huge white guy that can do a lot, but he doesn't handle the ball. He's got to get the ball. He can, but he's got to get the ball to him. And maybe they're not just the team we thought, whereas like Banchero, the other kids on Duke, Keels, who stepped up in that first game, they played really well. So for me, if you look at aggressive shot-making guards, that's where you need to go. And Villanova's got Gillespie and some others, but they're not exactly shot makers. And, I hate to say this, but that's definitely Tennessee's weakness. I know you guys two of you love them. Dude, when you put pressure on their guards, they can't do anything. They cannot shoot. And Fulkerson is Fulkerson, but he's not overly athletic. You could easily beat him up with somebody more athletic. They don't have shot makers, and Tennessee is in serious trouble. I thought they would be better based on that, but you have to be able to score the basketball when it's all said and done. And only about 5 or 6 teams really can. Alabama, I think, is overrated, but they're one of them. Kentucky, maybe like 10 teams. Arizona, Kansas, Texas, Gonzaga. I'll throw USC in there, UCLA, Duke, Baylor, Purdue. Auburn's got that Powell kid, right? What's his name? The freshman? No, somebody else. But, you got to have a guy that can score the basketball and create his own shot. And most teams don't, including Tennessee. I hate to say it.
Can we talk briefly about last night?
That was a good answer to a non-question.
Was there a question there? I didn't even know.
Madison Square Garden, the Jimmy V, the shot percentage making. What was going on there?
Equally bad in Villanova, Syracuse.
Yeah, that's
what I'm saying.
Messed up.
Both games, all 4 teams. Those are good teams, and typically, are in the upper 30% to 40%.
Yeah, the free
rate.
throws is what got me. No one shot above 70% free throws. The basket had to have been moved
slightly smaller.
Tennessee's guards can't shoot at all, and we all know that.
Oh my God!
But evidently,
Who's a
neither
shot
can
maker
Texas
there?
Tech,
No one.
Syracuse, or Villanova's.
All right,
Yeah,
Which
it was just
neither of
it
which
was
are-
awful.
well,
but
Syracuse has
Purdue
shooters, but they
looks
can't
like the
create their
number
own
one
shot.
team right now.
yeah,
Villanova
Purdue
can't
looks
shoot.
really good.
They're
All
the
right,
most
guys,
complete
last
team
subject of the
for
night.
sure.
And Robbie brought it up, and I kind of researched it a little bit. I'm surprised Stephen Curry is where he's at on the all-time scoring list. I actually thought he would be higher. But when you look at his career, he's played on 785 games. He's going to break the 20,000 point mark and basically under 10 full seasons of actual gameplay. A couple of years ago, Stephen Curry was called a game changer, changing the NBA. Where has his career gone, and where will it go in the next several years? Robbie, you did the most research, so let's hear your opinion.
Can I go last?
Okay, you can go last, Raj.
It's a different NBA. I mean, it's not a half-court game anymore. Yeah, he changed the game in the sense, so did the referees, so did a lot of different things. Now it's not a half-court game. After Shaq left and whatnot, you can't really bang. You can't do a lot of things. I guess he was the first guy to not only shoot consistently from outside, but to make them, for unlimited range. But personally, I think it's been horrible for the game. I don't like seeing kids that like pull it from 40 when they used to be like Jordan or something, and they pull it from 40 feet and try to make three-pointers. That, to me, is wuss basketball. He's taken more shots because he can take those shots. I'm not concerned with the time that it's taken him to score points. He's obviously a great shooter. But you put him, and I hate to be the get off my lawn guy, but you put him in 1990 NBA, and his ass is on the ground constantly where they don't call fouls. And yeah, I mean, they didn't, it was just a completely different game. They played a lot of man. People would pick you up a lot sooner. Whereas now it's just, nobody plays defense in the NBA, let alone on a guy that can shoot from 30 feet. And the NBA knows he sells jerseys. It's a different game now. He's a great player, but let's not anoint him, is my point.
I somewhat agree, but it's a different game. But it's not his fault. You look at like you said, the refs and everything else. Now there's flagrant fouls and all this flopping and people. Back in the day, that was not the case. I mean, it was one-on-one basketball. I mean, you didn't move the ball quite as much as you do nowadays.
You had to be bleeding.
You got it to your players that score, and you take it to the paint, and that's what it was. I think in the same era, I think Larry Bird could have been up there as far as shooting
And he
3-pointers.
was back then.
Yeah, but he took the 15-foot jump shot every time because he would drive the paint, and he could.
Because he created it.
And he created it. Right. But I don't necessarily agree with that either. I think Steph Curry's taking advantage of his situation, the rules, the time, everything. But let's not knock him here. Like, he is one of the greatest shooters, if not the greatest shooter that I've ever seen. Like, he's completely changed the game. Now, you can walk into any high school gym and you've got these kids pulling up, like you said, 40, 45 feet, throwing up bombs, trying to imitate Steph Curry. So, and now, I mean, we saw it last night. What Tennessee was like 3 for 42 or something at 3-point line. I mean, I even texted everybody last night. Do people not drive the paint anymore? No, everyone sees Steph Curry and what he's doing. And I mean, he pulls up from half court and hits it like nothing. I mean, his pregame routine, he's shooting from the stands and everything.
That's because Tennessee can't drive the basketball, and because that slow Fulkerson's clogging up the middle.
Well, not
But
to harp
aside
on
from that,
that,
but
I'm just using that as an example.
these guys
of,
think they're going to win a championship.
Nowadays, people are throwing up 40 and 53s in a game, which is,
Fair
insane.
point.
I said last night, why can't we? I think Randall muted everybody. What's going on here?
No,
Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, we can hear
Okay. I couldn't hear anything. Like I said last night, we can't even drive the paint anymore. Like what's going on? Like nobody can, pass the ball to get a mismatch, drive the paint. Anyway, to his credit, he's 15 short of being the all-time three-point leader. He's like 43% from the three-point line. I believe with tonight's game, he plays again on Saturday, he will surpass that record. And it's pretty awesome, in my opinion. So I know Robbie's got a lot of stuff to talk about on that. So we'll take it to him.
Yeah, so I honestly think this should be an entire show on where Steph ranks on the pantheon of NBA players. The reason why I say that is because no one's been like him before. And you see people I think this, honestly, I was researching this and I was thinking about this before. I think this is the hardest topic that we've all discussed to date about where he ranks, because how do you rank someone that's so unique? Like Magic, Jordan, Shaq, they've changed the NBA, right? So they changed the way the NBA was played. Curry has changed the way basketball has been played. No one has ever so you can be Magic, you can be 6'9" and can be able to dribble and pass. That's one thing. You can be Jordan, be 6'6", be able to do a fadeaway. You can be Shaq and be 7'3", 340 pounds and dominate. But that's not possible for most people. What fascinates me about Curry is that every single level of basketball, he has just changed, because now you don't have to be big. You can just shoot. And that to me is a next level of, oh my gosh, you just change what characteristics of basketball players have been. The only comparison that I have that I can think of is Tiger Woods. Tiger Woods changed a whole generation of what golfers look like. It wasn't the nerdy white guys. It was the athletic guys that could bomb it. They could shoot it. That's what Steph Curry did to basketball, what Tiger did to golf. And to me, what is that great? That's what I'm saying. We need a whole show of this. What does this greatness level look like? Because he changed basketball every single level. You look at the downside of it last night, Tennessee shooting basketball. But he made that game the way it is.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't that until he did it. And so to change everything, is that greatness? Is it talent? Or is it a little bit of both? But it's something to talk about. We should do a whole show about where we rank him on this greatness level.
That's fine.
Randall, you played the game. What are your thoughts? Because
I don't know.
I can't disagree more.
I don't know, because I checked. I'm going to be honest with you. I checked out on the NBA at one point, and it was in the period of Steph Curry's greatness. Now, I'll be honest with you. I saw Steph Curry play at Davidson, and I thought he was remarkable. But I felt like in the Southern Conference, he was protected a little bit. I think it would be a good debate, but I'm a big believer on playing on both ends of the court, and it's hard for me to judge the guys. If Steph Curry was
He's protected now, that's for sure.
I think James Harden's a great scorer. I don't think James Harden's a great basketball player. So
I agree.
there's a
Right.
difference in that.
I'd actually say Steph Curry's no slouch on the defensive end. So, I mean, I'd give him credit on that. He's not James Harden, for sure.
So I think that would be an interesting subject to bring all 10 up, but bring your top 10 and see where you, cause I'm kind of an old school, and plus I like forwards. I like the Bob Lanier's and Julius Ervings and stuff, but I really don't know. It's
hard to compare.
I looked at the list today. I was like, this is a complex conference. It should be a whole show. Like, it's complex. It's so hard. It's like you have Shaq, you have Kobe, you have Michael, you have LeBron, then you have Jerry West. Like, but Steph would murder Jerry West.
The problem is it
depends on who's officiating. Yeah,
Well,
it's
it's
a
not
different
apples to
era. It
apples.
was much more half court, and back then it was a lot more in-your-face basketball. Jerry West would absolutely murder Steph Curry if there were no refs. Not that saying that he would thump him, but Curry depends on his quickness and his step back, and I don't need to make that voice with him, but I think he's more Steve Kerr than Michael Jordan.
Well, this is why it's a great debate. We could talk for 2 hours
don't think
on this.
It's kind of like football. Like, oh, well, Alabama. We know Alabama's a damn good team, and they beat mostly everybody. But just because somebody's from another conference, I like to BS and say it would be a game. It's not going to be a game. Alabama's just better. And there are a lot of players that are just better than Steph Curry. Yeah, he can shoot, but so can, 13-year-olds in Indiana.
Right, but look, the argument is like if Larry Bird had the 3-point shot back then, Larry Bird would average 50 points a game.
Well, he did have a 3-point for some of his career, but Larry Bird could create his own shot.
No,
even though he was Larry Bird.
It was a nuance back then.
It was.
Yeah, I mean, people didn't
he
really
used his frame and defense. He was a very savvy player. He could create his own shot. I don't think Steph Curry could create his own shot aside from a couple of crossovers and step backs. He can't use his size.
Yeah, you're right. We should have a whole entire debate.
Yeah. This would be a great. This is a 2-hour
show. We could talk for 2 hours on this.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of points I strongly agree with on both sides and then disagree with. So
he's a great shooter.
Over the summer,
and it's different rules though. It's different rules.
Exactly.
You have to be malleable and adapt.
All right, we got to subscribe. We got to. What do we got to do, Brandon? What's our thing we got to say?
We're gonna subscribe, like, and follow River City Media, and you're going to put the subscribe on YouTube, so every time we go live, you'll get a notification.
Yeah.
I want to get to. And we will do a top 10. Over the summer, we get a chance to do a little more of these top 10 best uniforms. I've just put this in my notes. Top 10 basketball players of all time. We will come back to this. I want to get on to upset alert. If you want to put somebody in the playoffs on upset alert, you're reaching ahead. You can do it. I'm eventually going to put Georgia on upset alert. I've got some this week, though, and I've got a big one in the NFL. So I will start with my upset alert for this week, and I am going to put a 5-point favorite on upset alert in the NFL, that being the New Orleans Saints. I think the Jets are going to catch the Saints. They have struggled mightily at times. And the Jets also get the Saints at home. I think the Jets are custom built to stop Taysom Hill. So I'm going to put the New Orleans Saints on upset alert in the Big Apple this weekend. Anybody else who would like to go next to put somebody on upset alert?
Are we going upset alert or bet your nuts?
Upset alert.
Upset alert, then we'll do
Okay, I'll go upset alert. Upset alert. So in the most cockiest of cockiestville in America, Tuscaloosa, Alabama. They've just beat Georgia. They've just beat Gonzaga. They've got number 14, Houston, coming in town. They're playing at 10 o'clock at night. I'm not sure why, but they are. So Saturday night, Houston is going to beat Alabama in the Colon Coliseum. They will get beat. So I'm taking Houston basketball against Alabama. Take it this weekend.
Nice one. Raj Mehta.
The Ravens are 2.5-point dogs at Cleveland. I'll take Baltimore.
I do like that one. And Brandon James.
My upset is going to be Washington football team +4 over the Dallas Cowboys, who
Good one. You both hit on, all three of you hit on one
So-
that I had broken down.
Wait,
So
that's
we're
not
Raj-
screwed, is what you're telling me.
that's not an upset.
It
I mean,
is.
It is.
Yeah,
Technically.
the Cowboys are favored
Okay.
by 4
That's,
points.
that's my bet your nuts pick, but you stole my thunder, but okay.
So Raj stole my
Okay.
bet, your nuts pick.
Yeah.
So what? I mean,
So
It's
let's
like, we,
move on.
it's like we need a planning meeting before we do it.
I know. It's fine if
Let's
we're all
move
the
on.
same. That means, it's good, right?
See, we're all
Plan
gonna
bet
be-
you-
I don't want
Let's
to be
go
a part
ahead.
of your
My bet your
plan
nuts.
meeting.
My bet your nuts is the Ravens +2.5 over the Browns. They just came off a tough loss. They're bouncing back. It's the Browns. Come on. Give me Baltimore all day. Bet your
Raj,
nuts on
we'll
that.
go reverse order. Bet your nuts.
I wrote this down earlier. The game's already over, but I had West Virginia -2.5 over UConn. UConn's a better team, but they're without Sanogo and Tyrese Martin, their two second and third best players. UConn still kept it super close. And the final, I think West Virginia covered by half a point. So that was my go-to. I bet on them because everybody was all over UConn, but they did announce 30 minutes before the game that UConn was going to be out two of their best players. And along the same lines, Danny Hurley as a coach is a hell of a lot better than Bobby Hurley as a coach. Arizona State is garbage, whereas UConn is consistently very good. So it was West Virginia, another basketball. I don't know the score, but I did have Utah Valley State +7.5 against Southern Utah. I don't know if that's tipped off or not, but that was my other one.
Robbie Davis.
Yeah, so I'm going to bring some normalcy to this conversation. I've got the football team +4, and they're playing the Cowboys this tomorrow or Sunday, I guess. And then hold on, let me back that up. So I've got the football team 2 out of 3 weekends they're playing them. That won this weekend, won the third weekend. So 2 out of 3 weekends they're the football team. This weekend at home, they've got them. And then wait a second, free bet alert. Brandon, we need like buzzers. Bzzz. I got Tampa Bay -3 at home against Buffalo on a short week. They've been embarrassed. Their players no longer believe in that coaching staff. That's going to crumble. So I've got Washington and Tampa Bay. You can parlay it if you want to. If you like more money, I'm going to do it. But whatever you want to do.
So look, Washington football team's on a 4-game winning streak right now, beating the Bucks, Panthers, Seahawks, and Raiders. Pretty quality teams, a couple of them there. Sorry, Raj. That was why I picked them, for the upset for sure, and could have parlayed that into a bet your nuts by all means. And the Cowboys cannot win a big game for whatever reason, and I know a few weeks ago Raj and I both had them potential Super Bowl candidates. no chance. These guys they will fold, tuck tail, and run.
Hey,
Washington.
Randall, I like the Falcons plus 2.5 at Carolina. What has Carolina done? And my final question is, does Tennessee cover against the Jaguars 8.5?
Tennessee, we are a shell of ourselves. We have so many injuries. I wouldn't bet one way or the other. I think we win, but
I take us money line, but I would not take the points.
I agree.
I'll take the Falcons money line.
I agree with you on the Falcons, but that's not going to be my best bet. I'm going to go with a road team who is playing awful against the hottest team in the NFL with my bet you're nuts. I'm going to get the Rams plus 2.5 on the road on Monday Night Football versus the Cards, and I'm playing must win. I feel like this is a must win for the Rams' playoff chances.
Don't bet too much.
Hey, I wouldn't bet too much either. And bonus bet.
Hey, y'all have spirit fingers? Like, what's this? Spirit fingers we got going on here.
For those kind of bets, I only bet chains under the couch cushion, under the other couch cushion, under the bottom of the couch money.
Well, that could be $4,000 to $5,000.
Yeah,
So,
it is expensive. It's still expensive.
all right. Last words for the night. I need to do something kind of serious here. So if y'all can bear with me for a second. Coach Pat on the Four Horsemen site that a lot of people follow, it's not a wrestling site. It's a actual sports card selling site. Also, he's here on RiverCity-Media on the Off-Centered Show, is a graduate of Oxford High School in Michigan where the tragic shooting took place. Coach Pat and some of my group of sports collectors, George Jackson, some of the other shows that we're involved with in Michigan, are putting together a fundraiser that's going to be December the 11th. They're going to have a lot of fun, a lot of sports memorabilia. It's live on Facebook. All proceeds are going directly to the families of the shooting victims. So we here at RiverCity-Media are going to link the show. If you want to show up and bid or you want to donate to the cause, we would greatly appreciate it. But just check RiverCity-Media's page. I've really spent 30 years in college or in high school football. One of the young men that lost his life is a high school football player. I'm going to talk about at another time, but please support the Off the Center guys as they raise funds. If you'd like to donate, come to RiverCity-Media. The information to directly donate to the families will be there. So I appreciate y'all taking the time. And if you haven't, read the story of the young man, Tate Meyer, and also say a prayer for those families. I know it's kind of heavy. Don't want to get too heavy. I'll have some more follow-up to that later on. But let's go with Brandon Chain for the next closing comments.
What a great show. I think Robbie's right. It's one of our better shows for sure.
Especially when fun. Robbie said GD on the air.
Yeah, we got to we need one of those like buzzer buttons. You can kind of mute him out. But
I actually have a 6-second delay. I didn't actually think I was ever going to have to look it up. But clearly, Reckless Speculation is going to be the first place that gets hooked up.
Hey, well, this could not be a more fitting name, for this crew and what goes on here. So, no, it's fun. Man, love the show. Love doing it. Love our conversations and topics. So, yeah, I wouldn't listen to Robbie too much on some of this stuff, though. Yeah.
Raj Mehta, we're going to give Robbie the last word.
I don't like getting overly political, but I agree with you. This is not a gun control issue. I think we're well past it being a gun control issue. In this particular case, there were millions of signs and that this young man had serious issues and was
Absolutely.
fairly disturbed. The infrastructure failed him. Everything failed him. You know, for years, it's this. I hate to be overly like theoretical here and want to be philosophical, but how many people are passed through the cracks, so to speak? And it used to be when it came to academics. Now it's with respect to like psychological behavior, and there's just, why aren't there checks and balances for a young man like this with issues for years? And these children are losing their lives. I mean, again, I'm extremely pro gun control. Why mass shootings have become an American phenomenon. It's part of everyday life now. It's disgusting. The rest of the world thinks we're psychos, and I agree. But this isn't necessarily just a gun control issue. It's a much bigger issue than that. And yes, my thoughts and prayers are with all of these families and these kids. But it's systemic. It's not just political.
It's also we need to get the mental health help to the younger folks that they don't seem to get. I am a graduate, I'll call it, of the mental health system, and I would not be here if it wasn't for the fine facilities that in my late 20s that I became involved with. So yes, it is absolutely a mental health issue too. We need to do a better job. Again, not getting political. Robbie, lighten the mood up for us.
Well,
That's not
I will lighten the mood up in this sense. Raj said my favorite words, thoughts and prayers, which means he will donate $500. Brandon will donate $500, and I will donate $500. We will all donate $500 to help whatever is going on. We'll do all that, and it's not. Look. You know what? We just need to tell people what we need instead of people telling us what you want. And I think that's just kind of, everyone says, "Oh, this is what you need. This is what you need." People just tell us what you want. Tell us what kind of everyone deals with mental illness, and just tell us what you need instead. We force things on people so much, and that's not how you solve problems. It's what you need, not what you want. So, and I guess it's just, I hate to see anyone lose their life or anyone lose any kind of comfort. And so, yes, Brandon, Raj, and I will all donate money to said charity that we need to, and we will do our part to help.
Yeah, we'll get together as River City Media and get a donation together for sure. And it's great that those guys.
If they don't want to do it, I'll donate for them, but I think they will do it.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll figure something out for sure. Again, it's a good thing to be socially active. This show, of course, we've supported the Kidney Foundation, was great. We're definitely community related, and we want to keep that up. But it was overall a good show. We didn't clank it as bad as the Balls did last night in Madison Square Garden, but we did come and play for 4 quarters. I think we won. We might even have covered tonight. So for Raj Mehta, for Brandon Chain, for Robbie Davis, for River City Media, join us next week for more reckless speculation.